Hello, good evening, and a Merry Christmas Eve to all of you YouTubers out there and my viewers who are watching live, and to anyone watching this on playback retrospectively. It is Christmas Eve. I am feeling very festive. I've tried my very best to get something in the festive spirit, and at last minute, because it's been a very busy week for me, I managed to get some wonderful looking lights that don't show up on the camera, but I do have a Santa hat that probably won't remain on for the rest of the show. But hey, we're here, and as I promised, for Christmas Eve, right up to the very last minute. This is our last show for 2020, so the next show that we're going to be doing will be straight into the new year, and hopefully that will be a much better year. I hope you've all been well over the past week. I've done a few bits and pieces. If you have a look on our YouTube channel that you might want to go back and have a look at, I've done a tutorial or a product review if you like. But generally, I've been quite quiet on the Facebook platform. I haven't really been doing an awful lot this week. I hope you've been doing more. If you've been looking at the description in this video, you'll see the list of things that I want to talk about today. And one of those things is, do we get to catch up with Kyle or not? Because he wasn't here last week, and it is Christmas Eve. It's a little bit to ask, is he going to be here? And the answer to that is, he's here! Say hi, everybody.
Yay!
He's here! Yeah, brilliant. So how have you been, Kyle? Because you weren't here last week. You had a last minute change of plans.
Yes, I unfortunately just super busy, but I'm great. I've got great news. I didn't get to get it on the Facebook page yet, but I actually started and finished painting a unit of suppressors, and I'm super happy with how they came out. It's a new style of painting for me.
It's fantastic.
I will get some better pictures up so you can see it properly.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, just mega happy. So it's been a
you sent me a photo of them midweek, and they look absolutely brilliant. They look really grim, and they look really gothic and dark, and that's kind of what you want from Space Marines, right? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, went with that grim, darker style, and just really happy with them. So yeah, oh god, they look terrible on the webcam coming across, but we'll get some proper pictures up so people can see them. And obviously, constructive criticism is always wanted. They're just lacking basing, but that's because I'm having a little think about what to do with them.
Yeah.
On that regard, but yeah.
Have you got any ideas for what you want to do with the basing?
Yes, I was actually speaking to a friend, and the first thing that came out of his mouth was, well, let's have a look at the colour wheel. I chatted to him on the phone, he pulled up the colour wheel and went, oh, you want like a greeny blue to base them. And
did he pick
really
up the colour wheel because we mentioned it a couple of videos back?
I'm not sure. It's either a great coincidence or we're educating people.
I'm all up for coincidence if that's the case, but if it is because we said something, that is also really cool, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm thinking, hopefully, I might go for like an alien fauna with some crystal kind of little crystal structures in them to give that bluey greens coming with it, and it should contrast quite nicely.
That'd be cool.
With the red.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just need to. I realised going in, I knew that Blood Angels fire support units have blue helmets, and I got in the zone of painting, completely forgot, and painted them red. So one of the jobs I might do this evening is just
go back,
transfer those helmets over.
Is that's a colour scheme that you want to stay with, and you want to keep with that? You want to stay true to that kind of methodology?
I thought about it because they look good with the red. I do really like them, but this might be my trial unit to see how blue goes with those fire support units. And if I like it, it will then mean yellow for my sort of close combat units as well, and keep the scheme across it.
Nice. And the tactical Marines are standard, they're just kind of plain red face or helmet.
Exactly. So battle line, stay red, close support are yellow, blue is for your fire support, and gold is for your veterans.
Gold. Feeling confident about gold?
I like painting gold. I do. I'm doing a new scheme. I've got my Sanguinary Guard to paint this evening if I get round to it.
Yeah.
I've got a tester model of a little high elf swordmaster, but I'm going to trial because I've only got the one gold colour, and because I'm going to do quite a lot of dry brushing, I'm worried it's not going to come out quite bright enough, even though I want that grim dark style.
Do you have any silvers?
I do. I'm going to use that as the second dry brush.
Because you can mix the gold and the silver to kind of give like a mid highlight as well.
I wondered, because obviously with the non-metallics you add a little bit of white to brighten the colour up.
Yeah, you can do. I remember I reckon around about 6th, 7th edition. I mean, I could be completely wrong. That's just how I'm sort of remembering it. But some editions ago in 40k, I remember a lot of the promotional photos that were coming up, and a lot of the box art, and the sort of stuff that you'd find from the heavy metal team. Excuse me. when they started highlighting their golds, they started to add a little bit of the different types of silvers that they offer in the Citadel range to their golds to highlight, and you can see the effects that it has. And then you almost go right up to, if you were like highlighting black, you might just go right up to a white just in the tiniest little areas. You might do like a bright silver in some of those areas as well, but it depends on the sort of level that you want your gold effect to have. I've had a lot of trouble with gold in the past, but it's something that I want to develop in. But it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I've used silver to highlight gold before, and it comes out really nice.
Does it?
Like a final highlight.
Nice.
Before, and that tends to work really well. So, I'm just going to have that experiment today with this little experimental.
Excellent.
Swordmaster.
Well, I'm really excited to see how that turns out. Have you got anything festive with you today?
Unfortunately, I genuinely don't.
No, it's okay. Do you know, the show's in its early days, and it's been a bit of a rushed week, and I've been quite poorly this week. Again, I just have headaches, and I don't know why, but it just kind of puts me down for a couple of days. So last minute effort was to go and get the Santa hat. And these lights, they look beautiful in this room, but my fill light over here, it just completely bleeds it out. So I've got a Santa hat there. I was going to try and do something like paint worthy, like I was going to paint a Santa or something, but I have nothing like that. The idea of this show isn't to get more models before you've painted everything else. It's to get everything else painted in your backlog. We've got a live viewer here, Jeff Lacey. Oi, oi, nice to see you. Good evening, Merry Christmas Eve. I've got some chocolate snacks from the Christmas chocolate tin that I'll be munching. If that comes across the microphone, sorry, but it's Christmas, I don't care. That's the way that's going to be. Let's go over to my workbench and I'll show you what I plan to be working on this evening. Workbench. Here we go. Now, last week I had some problems with the brightness levels on my camera. Watching it back on playback, it wasn't as bad. I think my screen, maybe because of all the lights, etc. around the room here, kind of seems to dull everything down on the screen. It always looks darker. On playback, it was still dark, but not that bad. But what I've done on the camera settings, and I've been through it today, is I've removed an auto feature on the exposure, and that seems to calm everything down. If it's really dark and you can't see what I'm doing, please let me know either in the comments if you're watching it back retrospectively, put it in the live chat, because I want you to be able to see what I'm painting. This is a social club and I want you to kind of get the most out of it. Don't let me just kind of paint away when you go like, oh, I can't see it, that'd be rubbish, because that would be rubbish and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do tonight, because it's the last show of the year, I thought, as you can read in the description for this video, that it would be nice to kind of make a stock take. So all the things that you've yet to paint, because this show is all about, like I say, getting everything painted so you have no more grey armies or bits and pieces that have been hanging. I've got stuff in a cupboard that's been in my ownership for 15 years and I haven't even opened it yet. I think I might have taken the cellophane off. Jeff Lacey says it looks okay. Brilliant. Okay, cool. Well, if as long as it looks okay, that's fine with me. Just let me know if it doesn't. So what I'm going to do as the show goes on is I've got a piece of paper and a pen. I'm just going to basically write out the stuff that I know that I've got. I don't want to go through and just get everything out. It's Christmas and there's presents and stuff everywhere. But I want to kind of go through in my head and go like, I've got this box set, and I want to paint this first for this army, for this game, so on and so forth. So I've got here a couple of tanks. These are the little 15mm tanks that I've been doing over the last couple of days. Carl, did you see the show I did on the Firefly?
I did, yes.
You did? You actually watched it back, yeah? Yeah. Oh, nice, mate. Thanks. So I've got 6 tanks from this selection now. Selection. I've got my Panther. I've got my Tiger, which I really like. I still haven't confirmed what these vent pipe exhaust things are on the back. I think it is some sort of desert filter for operating in North Africa. And I've got my Panzer IV. And I've got my 2 Shermans. They're 76mm Shermans. That's the caliber of the gun. You can tell because the barrel's really quite long and has a little muzzle brake on the end. And if it's a shorter, stubbier barrel with no muzzle brake, it tends to be a 75, which was the favoured and probably better Sherman I have discovered. And then there's the Firefly, which is in British colours. This one has only been done in the base colours. So last week I did a little bit of work with, this Smart set from Ammo by Mig Jimenez. Beautiful paints. If anyone wants to kind of get into the realms of moving away from paint sets that they're not familiar with, then I recommend always Vallejo because they do a really good colour range. But Ammo by Mig Jimenez, they're just a beautiful paint to go through the airbrush. And most airbrush paints, as far as I know, like this one here, it says that they can be applied with brush because it's runny enough to go through the airbrush. You can still apply it. You don't want to be putting, like I used to, brush paints through your airbrush because you might as well be firing rocks through it. It's pointless. Don't do it. But these were beautiful. They flowed really well. They were creamy, and I got some really nice colours out of it. It's always a bit difficult to judge in the studio lights what the paint scheme is going to look like, but the next day when I had all the curtains open in the house and the daylight was coming through, I was really happy and really impressed with the paint scheme on this one. It's got the tone difference that I wanted between the American olive drab. So I was really happy with it, but it's yet to have any staining done on it. What they all really need is track painting, because I haven't ever really worked out what colour I want to do my tracks. So on my original German ones, I kind of picked a colour, I went with it, I did a little bit of staining on it with black, and it just didn't work at all. So on the Shermans, I did them a brighter brown, which you might be able to see here, and it just looks awful, so I stained it, and it just looks terrible. So one of the things I might be doing tonight between other jobs is I might be going backwards and forwards and just applying a brown on here. We got Kyle down here. Kyle's in the comments. I thought it was someone else. Is anyone painting? Yeah. Let us know what you're doing. So I might be doing some tracks tonight as well. The thing with tracks is that they were just bare metal. I don't think they were ever really painted, because there's no point, because they're just going to be ground up anyway. So they would be worn down to their bare metal colour. So when you start painting that, it stands out. You have to kind of tone it down, and there's lots of different techniques, and I haven't really nailed it yet. But after a little while, the parts that aren't being in contact with the ground go rusty, so they kind of go brown. So there's all sorts of rust effects that you can do. But then there's mud and there's all sorts. So there's lots to consider. When I did my 28mm tanks, if I go to show you the two Tigers, because I did two different things on these, I didn't paint the bits on this one here that contact the ground, because there was no point when I was doing it. But these ones, what I did is I just kind of highlighted in a bright silver, because the actual model didn't really pop. So I just kind of did the lines that would be kind of contacting the ground, did these lines up, didn't stain it at all because it just dulled it off too much, and I also did a mud effect over them as well, so you got some like dust and dirt and mud, and that kind of worked. And then I did this one in the yellow colour, and I did the same thing again, but I applied I think it was Citadel's Seraphim Sepia wash to it, because they pop so much against the yellow colour that I had to tone them down. But they work, they stand out. Less is more on a smaller model anyway, but I don't want something really bright kind of be popping out too much on a small model, especially when there's not a lot of detail on them that I've painted. So I've got a lot to think about, and I am an over perfectionist when it comes to doing models, and sometimes, like everything, I've just got to learn to chill out, do something that just looks okay, because they're okay, they're cool, they're fun, they should be enjoyable. But I've got a lot to consider with them. Adrian Dean is online. Hey, nice hat there, Mr. Lacey. Thank you very much. That's right. Yeah, I've my Santa hat. It's not mine. Someone lent it to me just before the show. So because your Christmas lights aren't really working, you can just see my Christmas lights here, and it fits just over my headset. I don't know how long this hat's going to stay on. It's getting quite uncomfortable, but we'll see how it goes. But the one thing I really wanted to do tonight, because I started doing them a little while ago, did a few other things to make sure that the content for the channel was kind of regularly different, and I had some headaches, and I got a little bit lost, and I started doing other things. I've also got a 135th Panther on the go, which is almost ready for priming too. So I want to get back to this guy today. So I'm going to be focusing on this Biovore. This is one of the older generation Biovore models from Games Workshop. If you've been on the Facebook channel, you would have seen what I've been doing with it. He was bright yellow, and it was really bright, and it made your face ache. And I toned him down a little bit with a wash, and I applied it really thinly, moved it around so there was no pooling. If I compare him to my Broodlord here, there is a difference, and I want to try it tonight to match it up a little bit. I want the yellow to be nice and bright. The Broodlord here is quite dull. I don't want them all to be dull, but I don't want him so poppy as this, basically. I don't want him to pop out so much. So I'm going to apply another Seraphim Sepia layer wash over the yellow, and then I'm going to be going to the carapace on the back of this beast, which is the grey at the moment, and I want to do that black, so I've got Nuln Oil. The non-oil is going to not only provide a shade for the grey, but it's also going to separate the details that are on here. So I've got the green from the, as Ruben called it, one of my friends follows me, called it a spore sac, I think, which I think is a perfect name for it. So that'll create a nice little outline for it, and around like this alien limb, there's a little eye in there as well, and hopefully it should separate, give a little border to them, and it should stand out nicely. Then there's little teethies, so they stand out. Might brighten those up a little bit. It's a little bit of work to do on here. The base, oh yeah, his arm isn't stuck on, so he keeps on falling over as a drunk Biovore. The base is painted grey at the moment, just because I wanted the outline to be the edge to be grey. But I want to do the top of this one black, so I'm going to brush paint it because it's the only reason I've been getting my airbrush out tonight. People have said to me, "Hey, can you do more brush work? We don't see the airbrush all the time." Yeah, sure, cool. I'll get the brush out more. So I'm going to hand paint that black, so that when I put my crackle paint on it, which I don't have to hand right now, when it splits, sometimes when it dries rapidly, or there's a big fissure, if you like, it seems to recede really quickly and it goes white, or you can see the paint colour underneath. So I want it to go black rather than a brighter colour. I want it to kind of show some sort of texture under there. So that's everything I'm going to be doing. I've also got some other bits and pieces that I might be going backwards and forwards from, because doing shades might take a little bit of time to dry, and I don't be messing that up. More chats in there. Dave Lester, evening, all Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas Eve, Dave. Glad to see that you're here. Nice to see that we've got some regular viewers, and nice to see that people are coming in on Christmas Eve. I hope we haven't pulled you away from your plans. And Adrian says, try a very light brush of a dark or steel metallic over black. Is that for the tracks, for the tank tracks? Is that what you're suggesting? I did try a dry brush. It didn't work so well. And funnily enough, I'm going to be going into why in a little bit about dry brushing techniques. And I also tried a trick that a lot of pros do with 1/35th scale tanks, and that is by using graphite pencils from the 4B, 5B, 6B, so on and so forth. Because it's essentially a metal that you're applying to it, but it just looked like that someone had drawn all over my model with a pencil. So I just thought I wouldn't do that, so I rubbed it all off, because you can literally rub it off. That's another problem with it. If you touch it, it comes off. If you varnish it, it just looks grey. So yeah, so he's put forward the tracks, it is. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, because they're small, dry brushing might work. Funnily enough, Kyle and I... The hat has to come off, I'm sorry, it's too hot. I will put it here. Why not? You can't see it. Who cares? So Kyle and I were talking about dry brushing techniques just before we went live, and we're saying that dry brushing has a place, and it should be a very rare, in my opinion, in Kyle's opinion, it should be a very rare place that you use dry brushing, because it is actually a bit on the lazy side. And if you're doing like a whole squad, or if you're doing like I do, horde armies, then it probably comes into practice a lot more, because you just want to kind of get through the highlights on a larger basis. But you had some thoughts on dry brushing as well, Kyle, didn't you?
Yeah, the technique I've just used, that I'm really happy with my Blood Angels, is all dry brushing, or 90% dry brushing. It's building up layers of it, but I know that I really like this style. It's giving me that really grim, dark look for them. But I know it's once I move armies, I'm not going to stick to that dry brushing. I'm going to use a lot more edge highlighting, and even for sort of the main characters of this army, I'm going to go to edge highlighting and things. So it very much has its place. It is called cheating quite a lot, but for me, it's about end look. Does it look good? And at the moment, because my painting skill isn't great, to be honest, dry brushing looks better for me at the moment than me edge highlighting, because I'm not as good a painter at the moment.
Yeah.
But I know I'm not going to get better at painting by dry brushing. So I've got to kind of find that balance of what I'm doing. So, yeah. And
I suppose you can, again, it's about the larger scale stuff, isn't it? So you got a squad of things to get through, but for your characters, for like your individual people, whether they're going to stand out, you can just kind of ease back a little bit on that, can't you? And you can then spend a bit more time on them, so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly that. But I can't believe it. I got a squad done in under 2 hours.
It's really nice. Is that because of this show?
Well, yeah, I'd obviously been building up to it, and I've been waiting, and I ordered the models I wanted for my Crusade Force, and then had to wait for paints, and like I had that excitement there to do it, and then I suddenly found myself with a bit of time, and just went for it. And yeah, it just
And
felt
here
great.
we are.
The motivation of actually finishing a unit as well was fantastic.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
just helped me
positive
so
reinforcement,
much.
right?
Yeah, exactly that. And I just kept going back to look at them. Like each day, I looked at that unit again. Like, do you know what? I'm even happier than I was when I first finished it.
That's really cool.
With how they look, and yeah, I will get some pictures up so I can get some feedback on them. Adrian's just saying that he uses dry brushing a lot. He can't edge highlight for diddly squat. Also, Adrian, thank you for putting up the pictures of the fire. I did see it. Sorry, I'm just terrible at commenting on Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook, but no, it's super handy. I picked up a yellow, so I'll finish the flames I've got and put a picture up on that as well.
You actually did some fire, did you?
Yeah, I've started it on that high elf mage that I was doing, and now I've got the yellow to kind of finish it. It looked did you blend with that, Adrian, or use oils or anything? It looks awesome, and I wouldn't have a clue how to make that happen at all with the kind of the techniques that I know and stuff. So yeah, any info on that would be super handy. Yeah, cracks.
I think.
So,
yeah, this is toning this yellow down with a second wash layer. I know, Kyle, you don't actually have a direct video feed with me, so you're looking back on the actual YouTube channel itself. This is because we're techno noobs and we don't actually know what we're doing. But there is about a 10-second delay to the YouTube thing. So I can see Kyle through a call, but I have to have my webcams set up for me, so he can't see me, so he has to look back on the YouTube channel itself. But when you can see it in a minute, Kyle, you'll see what I'm painting. This Biovore is that because a little while ago you were asking about washes and you don't really know much about them, is that I'm just controlling everywhere I want it to go, and I'm trying to not allow it to pool. So I'm applying it, not liberally, but just kind of putting it down where I want it to, and then I'm moving it around so that a thin layer kind of goes over the surface, and then I'm trying to prevent it from pooling, unless I want it to go into an area to pool to kind of create some sort of shadow or definition or just some sort of colour effect, etc. And because I've
already started to have some success with that.
Brilliant.
The next step for me is knowing when to use what wash.
Yeah.
People talk and it's like, oh, I use the Cephia because it brings out these colours really well. I use my Nuln oil on these colder colours, and with my warmer colours I use the Cephia or the Agrax, and it's kind of that information.
Yeah, I follow.
And
it's just at that point, it's just experimentation, right? It's just have a go and see what works. And like what you've got some models, elf models, etc., that you're just kind of practicing on. And that's, if you've got that to hand, use it. That's your tool, man. Don't be frightened to experiment in the search for improvement.
Yeah, and I was always put off in the past because I didn't have those models to experiment on. It's an expensive hobby. I didn't. Being the perfectionist,
yeah, I follow you.
Models going on for the tabletop, that didn't look great.
So what I've got here is I've got my first layer really thin that toned the yellow down because it was really bright. If you go on Facebook, you can see a photo of it. It's like, oh, there's a Biovore. It's really neon. It looks pretty, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted the pretty colour of it, but I wanted it to look very real, and I didn't want it to be so. Well, colouring book, I suppose. So now I'm going over it a second time using exactly the same technique, and it's toning that thing down. But do you remember a couple of episodes ago I was saying like I used to just slap this shade on because it was the easy way of doing it. It's a cheating thing again, isn't it?
I remember that episode because I was literally slapping shade on
as we were talking
this
about
is how
it.
you should do it, but this is how you shouldn't. I was like, 5 minutes too late on that one.
Again, if you've got a horde army, slap it on, right? Yeah, and then dry brush because you've got a lot to get through.
Yeah, you've got so much to get through.
But yeah, so I've got the same effect that I was getting from that, but it looks tidier, and that is, I'm still not at the level some painters are out there, man. There's some painters out there, and we've seen some of the community spotlight that we do in this show, and you're like, wow, that's incredible. You don't get anywhere if you don't give it a try. So, like Adrian says, I do dry brushing because I can't do edge highlighting. Give it a go, or don't. It's your hobby. Do what you want. I'm just here to kind of encourage you, inspire you. And as this show gets bigger, and I'd like to announce, Kyle, that we have now 14 subscribers to this YouTube channel. and over 300 views and hundreds of hours of viewed time. So I'm really happy with that. Like, it's like Kyle says, just to positively affect one person is a job well done. But that just speaks volumes to me. So thank you very much for being a part of it. I'd like to do something where we as a community have a go at something together. I think that might be an evolutionary step for this show. And Kyle, you were suggesting a little while ago, looking back to the Tale of Four Gamers.
Yes.
Perhaps you can tell our viewers, because some people may not know what the Tale of Four Gamers is.
So I used to have, back in the day, the White Dwarf subscription. Loved it. Used to look forward to it. Read it cover to cover. And one of the segments they used to run every now and then was the Tale of Four Gamers. So they get 4 people together, and they had a budget, and like a monthly budget. And in that month, they could spend their budget on whatever they wanted, and they had to make and paint everything within that month. And then after the first couple of months, they'd have enough to get on the tabletop, and they'd fight with it as well. And I just absolutely loved it. And I just like that style of you buy it, you paint it, then it's ready to play with. And what was great about watching them is they might buy a unit or two, then they'd be buying other things to add to their units to make them look better. They'd be buying extra sprues or extra bits just for conversions, and just kind of taking that project on.
That's cool, right?
I've been so into this crusade idea as well. It kind of is going hand in hand, and that's what the units I'm buying at the moment are for. I kind of got this idea in my head about where I want a crusade force to go, which is why I got the suppressors. The Sanguinary Guard are getting painted up. I'm going to look at a unit of Outriders next, because we talked about this. You're not quite sold on them yet. That they've not quite got the Marine bike right. But I
don't get me wrong, man. I think they look really cool. I just don't think you can go over a bump or stones or pencils, because they're really low riders. I just don't think that they look tactical. They definitely put something on the back and make it go forwards. It fires bullets, you're dead. Brilliant. But to turn corners, But I still think they look cool. I am going to maybe bring up some controversy here, and I'm going to say that ATV is not my thing. And now I'm being polite because I want this to be for families, but it's just not. Yeah, it's not for me.
I've already started to see some good conversions.
Yeah. And that's cool, right? That's cool.
Yeah.
Find something that you think isn't as strong as it could be. Yeah. Show everyone what you want it to be. Show everyone what you can make of it. Yeah, I'm down with that. That's cool. But then there are some people out there that really like it as well. So I'm not going to take that away from them. It's like music. It's like food. You like some things, you don't like other things. That's cool. That's fine. I'm happy with that. But yeah, I won't see it in my Space Marine Force. I am a big fan of land speeders.
And they've got they're coming back, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're making a resurgence.
I haven't used a lot of them because I never really had the model. I had one, I painted it really badly, it was half finished, so it would sometimes appear in my Space Marine Force. But I really like them, and I play Raptors. They're we spoke about this before. They are somewhat a Forge World army, so Games Workshop don't really do much with them. So much. They do, but they kind of focus on others. They have other favourites, and that's fine. But they're a jungle fighter unit, and they're supposed to be very sensible. They are nicknamed the Sensible Marines. They're supposed to be. They kind of throw off the shackles of heraldry and garish paint schemes for tactical camouflage and things like that, like you might expect. As much as you can camouflage at 8 foot super warrior, shouting and screaming, but the idea is that they don't shout and scream. So yeah, I like the idea of I kind of try to bring some sort of Vietnam feels to it with flamethrowers and things like that. I like my fiery weapons with them. But they're supposed to be also like super tactical and really good marksmen, so I don't over focus on it. I just thought that, I don't know, that land speeders kind of had that sort of light helicopter feel to them. I just like the idea of like a super fast reconnaissance vehicle that if you shoot at it, it's probably made of glass, as much of glass as Space Marines are made of. But yeah, the idea is it's kind of super quick and can bring some heavy weapons to the front. But if it does get shot, it probably goes down quite quick.
I think it was called the Tempest, which was the scout one, which was it could transport scout models.
Yes, it has a slightly it has like a larger seating area for like taking more scouts, doesn't it?
Yes, that was it. And they used to come with like a blind launch, like a blind grenade launcher or something.
Uh-huh.
A friend of mine had 6 of them, with 6 units of scouts on the go.
Wow.
It was just such an annoying army to go up against. It was frustrating as all hell.
I also used to, because of the lack of models and things, I only ever used to really have one land speeder. But they are supposed to be, especially nowadays, moving away from sort of 3rd edition, 4th edition days, they're supposed to be taken in groups often, so you want them to be really like in 3s and things like that. But I never really had that. And there are different types, like Carl says. There was the scout one, there was the armoured one from Forge World. So it actually had like an enclosed cockpit. Yeah, it was really nice. And there's one with missile launchers and all sorts of stuff. And of course now they've actually brought out a Primaris one, which actually looks kind of cool. So you could mix and match your units, so you didn't have to have them all the same. They had different weapons and things, and it looked kind of cool. And I like that. But I haven't played any games in 9th edition, I'm really sad to say, and that is mostly because of the pandemic. I wanted this show to be kind of free from political affairs and current affairs and things, but it's hard to escape the reality at the moment, and that is the pandemic is here in the UK. We're out of our 2nd lockdown, and we're into increased tier scenarios. We might as well be in a 3rd lockdown. So, I yearn to spend time with my friends where I play games and things with. And just the other week, Kyle, you were saying, because actually you're in a lower tier area than I am, you were saying, oh yeah, come up sometime and have a game. I'm like, you can't. Yeah, we can't do that, can we? Yes. Yeah, no, and it will be. But I was thinking, because in the new year I'm planning to start streaming to the Twitch platform, that I will still do this show every week. I'll just stream it to both platforms, YouTube and to Twitch. But I also want to make some exclusive content for both sides. So if you go over to the YouTube playlist, you might find that I did a product review the other week. I want to do more product reviews because a lot of people are asking me for them. I stayed away from them initially because I thought that stuff's out there in abundance anyway. But if people want to see it as a part of this community, maybe they like me. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. But if that's what you want to see, I will do more of it. And I think that my shtick is live performance, so I'm going to do them all live. They'll be like uploaded, so you'll watch them back in playback. But the first time I do it, I'm not going to like record it and edit it or anything. So all the reactions and what happens will all be live. And I think that's new. I don't think that's really done, and if it is, not much. But anyway, so I'm going to do those for YouTube, and then for Twitch, I can't guarantee how often I'll be doing it. I'll certainly announce it when I'm going to do it, but I'm going to play some games on the PC, and I'll be playing them live. And again, you can go back and watch them. I suppose I don't know an awful lot about Twitch. I'm still researching on it, but you can come along and watch and be a part of it. And I'm going to play some games that are relevant to the interests that I have in war games. So, if you are familiar with the game War Thunder, it is a free-to-play, massively multiplayer online. It has sessions, so you go into a team, and you can play in like basically Second World War and up. It goes right up to the modern era. I'm really rubbish at it, but it's really good fun, and I play it with some of my friends quite often. And you can play in the giant battleships, the fleets of the Second World War. You can play airplanes, is where it all kind of started, and tanks is one of my favourites. And me and some of my friends are going to kind of stream online playing those. We've got some ideas to make it interesting and keep it different, because I'm sure that people do it all the time. Things that we're not going to play, things like Call of Duty and things like that, I don't play them. I'm not going to say I don't like them. I have other interests that I prefer to prioritise. But again, everyone does it, so there's no point in me doing that. Go and watch someone else. I don't want to take away what other people do. They're probably going to do it better than me anyway. But of course, what we can do, Kyle, this is something that we were speaking about a little while ago, is that we could play some 40k on Tabletop Simulator or other similar platforms. And that would be a really nice way of keeping on the hobby that we want to do, and we can kind of show other people too. But we've got a lot of research to do before we do anything like that yet. So for the meantime, my streaming to Twitch will just be, at the moment, keeping it with the online painting club. But I want to make sure that we're kind of putting ourselves out there for the whole community, because a lot of gamers out there, like a friend told me a little while ago, I should be streaming to Twitch right from the beginning, because people who play war games and play video games cross over their interests a lot. So I want to make sure that we're reaching out to, to as many people as we possibly can. Right, I have now applied my second layer of this Seraphim Sepia. I am now ready to go to the black, so which is non-oil, but I'm gonna leave him just to kind of dry a little bit.
Out there that I'm in a lot of trouble because I've just dropped a pot of paint on a rug. So if I'm not here next week, that will be the reason.
Dude, I am so sorry. It happens to everybody. But what were you thinking? Let's look back at some of the comments here. Adrian, apply the next layer of paint. Well, the last one was still slightly wet. More luck than judgment, I think. Oh, okay, cool. That's that. I was talking about the blending there. You sure? I haven't looked up the screen for a little bit. I was kind of in the zone. Dave Lester's put the show helps me. Thanks. I'm really glad. I've actually spoken to Dave outside of here, and he's like I said a couple of weeks ago, he recently bought some Vallejo paints. He made that bold step into buying some different paints other than the Citadel range. And it takes a lot of gall sometimes to step away from something that you're really comfortable with. And like Kyle said a little while ago, if we helped but one person, then I'm super happy with that. One person that we've helped, because I'm having a blast. I spent money obviously on everything that I'm doing. I spent time researching how to broadcast and whatever. But if it all ended now, it would not be for in vain. I was talking to one of our community spotlights a little while ago. Emma Svensson, who was the lady, I think back in episode 5, who did the Bubblegum Boys Orcs Brigade. They were fantastic. I was just talking to her about what the show is and what we try to do, and the kind of ethic of it, if you like. And I said it's really small and humble, but I'm really enjoying it. And she said, no, I think it sounds excellent. She said, I think it sounds like a really, really good idea. And I said it was at a point where I was starting to think, are we doing anything? Is there any point to this? And she kind of picked me up, and it was just really nice to hear that someone liked it and agreed with it and thought it was good. So I'm having, like I said to her, I'm having a blast doing this. I'm really having, I'm the happiest I've been for a long time. Just to I've wanted to run a club. Even before I thought about doing it online, I've always wanted to run a painting club so that people can get their stuff painted, man. Get it out there, Right, so I'm going to wait for my yellow shade, my brown shade on my yellow. I'm going to let that dry for a minute, and I'm just going to put a bit of black on this base. I wasn't going to add water to it because I kind of want it to cover quite thickly, but you should always water your paints down, even just a little bit. And these are airbrush paints, so they're quite thin as well. So just a touch. That's probably too much. Too much. Now, while you're listening to this, you might notice that there are some weird sound artifacts going on today. We noticed them just before we went launch today. I don't know what it is. Sometimes Kyle's got a lot of reverb. My sound is looping. I think I know where it's coming from. I don't know why Kyle's got reverb. If it is causing you problems to listen to us or to Kyle or whatever, I can only apologise. I'm not very good at this. I do try every week to learn something new and to apply it so that it gets better. I have very minimal experience. I've had no experience at all really in this. So if it's causing problems or it's not great, I'm sorry. Hopefully by this time next year it'll be slick, but if you're having problems, let us know, because I might be able to do something about it. But that is the live performance, right? If this was recorded, we could just go back and take. But I like the fact that it's got problems. I like the fact it's a bit ticky, because you're more than likely going to remember it, right?
And I think a big part of this is, and I know it's where we kind of want to grow it to, it's not meant to be a tutorial.
No.
It is meant to be a community, so it's that interaction. Adrian's always got some fantastic ideas. I know I've taken some already off Adrian about what to do with my painting and things. And that's exactly what we want, people sharing ideas.
It's the community, right? It's a painting club. If you went to a club, to a physical place, maybe your local gaming store or wherever, then you would be talking to the people there and picking up tips and sharing stuff. And we regularly have somewhere between 5 to 10 regular viewers. And that's really cool. Some are really vocal. excellent. If you want to keep to yourself, that's fine also. But you know, I look forward to a time when there's, I know I'm probably thinking quite out of the realms at the moment, but 100 people, 50 people, 20 people, you know, whatever. I think that would be really cool. But I know it's slow going. Whatever. I'm just happy to be here because, like Kyle says, I've got so much done. The motivation just for myself. Brilliant. Those spore mines were taking me. They did take me ages. I mean, let's not hang around. 3 of those models I've had since 3rd edition. You know. But I bought some to bulk it up, and I don't think I'd have ever got them painted. Playing with half painted models and, you know, half made models. I had Devastators that I had their arms blue tacked on. Not cool, man. Get it done. Do it. It's your creative outlet. Enjoy it. And like Kyle says, when you're done, it's more motivation, and you feel the pride when you get it done. Spend the time on it. Enjoy it. Literally sit down, get some music on to the exclusion of all else, and just paint your little heart out. Have some fun. If not, go golfing. Cool. I've got some chocolates, Kyle. I'm going to have one. I have got... Am I allowed to advertise? I think I am. But this is...
You definitely can't. You definitely can't advertise.
Hazel in caramel. This is not a paid advert.
Other chocolates available.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm coming across as quiet as well at the moment.
Yeah, you've gone a little bit tinny. I don't really know why. It's up and down. I've played with the levels before. It was settling down, but I don't know why it is. It does say that... Oh, Keston. Hi, Kes. Yeah, I'm getting weird sounds, bits. Kyle is very quiet. Thought it was my speakers. No, I've actually had to turn Kyle's output down a little bit, because any higher, suddenly he gets massive reverb, like he's in a theatre. It's very weird. And I've not had that problem before. It's obviously the way I've just set it up. Yeah, but whatever.
On our toes, learning.
Right, so I've done a layer of black on this base. I might do another layer on that because I want it to be darker, but hey ho. So obviously we've gone. Sorry, I spoke over you.
I think my headphones just decided to cut out as well about 5 minutes ago, and I lost everyone. And I was like, oh, no, I was chatting along. I was like, oh, I'm getting nothing back. And then I was like, oh no, it's my headphones. Decided to cut out. Fantastic.
I did a setup test earlier on today, and then for some reason all my peripherals just froze. I had to do a complete restart. I don't know why that was. I'm like, please don't do that in the show. If we do cut out, it's because my laptop is being a jerk. All right. So obviously we've got some more viewers coming in. Keston Hooper, nice to see you again. Let us know what you're painting. I want to know. Tell us all about it. We want to see what's going on. I'm going to have some water because that has dried my mouth out.
One thing I've already noticed is I normally don't paint where I am right now, and the light has made a huge difference.
Yeah, man. Yeah, always get good lighting if you can. I know not everyone can, but if you can, you should definitely try. Right, I'm going to go to my non-oil here. I would be trying to use the wet palette that I was showing off a couple of weeks ago if I was going to be doing more prolonged stuff with individual paints, but I'm going backwards and forwards between shades and things. No water, you don't want to be using those in a wet palette. So here, like a little simple plastic well palette comes in handy for this sort of thing. Right, let's go back to this brush. Okay, so it's the first time moving into the grey. I don't want to be moving around any of the black stuff on there. Now, because this is an old-fashioned metal model, it's quite easy to pull the paint off with my fingers, and I am starting to see some bare patches, so I'm going to try and handle it as little as possible, just so I don't remove everything on it. So I might, once this is finished, I might have to go back with the airbrush and I'll probably put like a couple of layers of gloss varnish on it, and then do a layer of matte over the top of that to obviously remove the shine, just to kind of protect it, because gloss is very good at protecting.
David Lester painting, is that Black Templars? Off the top of my head, neophyte. They look like they might be having a bit of a resurgence of Black Templars, which would be lush, because I think, is it 5th edition? They were the poster boys of the rulebook.
They were, yeah.
And they've kind of dropped off the radar. They're not getting their own codex supplements at the moment. But I always love the idea behind them, and the Emperor's Champion.
I just like that they were like non-codex.
Anti-psycho as well, weren't they?
Yeah,
Abhor
big
the
time, all about
witch.
that.
So yeah, no space wizards for them.
Mm.
I used to paint the Black Templars because I wanted this is before I did the Raptors, because I wanted the scheme that was nice and easy, and black was. You know, there are different ways of like highlighting it and playing with black and whatever. But then I realised that they didn't do the Black Templar cross as a decal, and I wanted something simple because I wasn't a great painter, so painting that by hand was rubbish. So I had all these decalless Black Templars. So then I moved to the Raptors, thinking that I wanted something different, and moved away from it. But I forgot the reason why I did the Black Templars, and at the time they didn't do any transfers for those either. So, but then eventually Forge 12 did them, and I stayed with the Raptors. I love them because I'm not one of those guys that is ready to move into the realms of freehand, though there are some terrific artists out there.
Oh, we also got that completely wrong. It's Gene Stealers, not Black Templars.
Ah!
There's neophytes in Black Templars though, and we're not just talking rubbish.
Oh my god, we are so old. Sorry?
And Adrian ended up spilling his Nuln Oil. I don't know if this is where my headphones cut out, but I've spilled my paint all over the rug.
No, that came through.
Oh, good. So yeah, if there are anyone has any formulas for how to get rid of
I think, because I saw someone talk about this on a forum the other day, I think the general idea is that you should leave it to dry and don't try to wipe it out while it's wet, because you'll only spread it. And then when it's dry, if it's paint, it's probably easier. A wash is water mostly, but you might be able to scrape it out, perhaps even with a knife edge. Generally, see if you can get like kitchen towel down on it as quick as you can, because if you get on, you can remove red wine from a white rug if you get to it quick enough. Like literally spilled it, get it down, just literally drop the whole roll on it. But yeah, perhaps don't tell her. And see if anything happens.
Well, I'm going to flip it because style of rug, I might get away with it.
Okay, so it's a rug and not the carpet. That's good. That's a good start, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I'm given permission to be here next week though for that one.
or if he's actually even just alive.
Yeah. Oh, pray for me. Yeah, we'll see. Just going over now, just catching any areas that I missed with the spray paint.
Yeah.
See how, I think I'm going to have to wait for some better light to see how this little Swordmaster turned out, see if I'm happy with the colour scheme. But,
this is the elf, isn't it? The elf model.
Yeah, that's the one. But I can get the first couple of steps done for my Sanguinary Guard, regardless of that. So I can get that done. Do a bit of the sort of grunt work, as it were, before I move on to the golds. It's funny you were talking about blacks just there, though, because the next unit I've got to paint will be Death Company.
And they're all painted in black, aren't they?
They are, and I'm a bit worried that they're going to come across a bit boring. Like, I'm not sure what to do with black.
It's an interesting thing.
Pop a bit of grey on there.
When do you think you're going to get to those? Because perhaps we can like do a focus on that, like as a part of one of the shows in the future.
Yeah, I've already got them. They've been sat there unpainted. They've just been sprayed black, ready to go.
So they're
you're
ready to go like within a week or two.
Oh yeah, they're built. They're sprayed.
I think you could probably focus on the details and the markings and things, because they have like some quite.
Yeah, they've got good detail on them.
Yeah.
Models. To try and make them stand out. I think this is going to be a unit that won't be dry brushed. This will be a unit that I can take my time a bit more on, picking out detailing, and highlighting and things, because I think they'll need it just to have any sort of detail on them, really.
Trying to control this Nuln Oil. There's a little bit on the tough side. I think I've got a bit of pooling on the top there, so I'm just going to wet my brush, clean it out a little bit, just wet it, and see if I can just kind of wake that stain up. Might wipe it with my finger, perhaps. Because it didn't really do what I wanted it to, and it kind of pooled. But it is doing what I want it to in the realms of outlining some of the other details that are there. So that's working for me. And obviously I'll be able to highlight all these colours as well, so there won't be such stark contrasts, maybe.
I like black with Dark Reaper. Oh no, what sort of colour is Dark Reaper? Is that a grey, Adrian? Or what we were just talking about? I did see someone that put a lot of effort in and painted up a unit of Death Company from blue.
Yeah, back when I did the Black Templars, I used to dry brush them blue.
Okay.
So blue is a way of working with black. Oh, just try not to handle him, it's so difficult. Now I could have just super glued him to his base and then maybe had like a painting handle or something, but there's so much detail underneath him, or so much work that needs to be done underneath this guy, that putting a 60mm base on him would have just been counterproductive. So I decided to not go for it, but there's a part of me thinking, was that maybe a bad idea? Everything's gone quiet now as we're all focusing really hard.
Yeah. All zeroing in. I'm just trying to think if there's anything just in the realm of fantasy sci-fi genre that I've been excited about over the last couple of weeks. I know we spoke a little bit about June the last time I was on. I started reading that again.
Have you?
Coming over quite nicely, just in preparation to be able to watch the film.
I think it's a new series. People keep saying it's a film, but I'm 100% certain. I'm 100% certain that it is a series, which makes me even happier because it lasts longer. And they can put so much more into it.
Yeah, it lasts longer, and you just feel like they're going to do a better job. And with the budgets they've been given out to the TV shows now after Game of Thrones, you just know it's going to look.
Yeah, I wasn't very happy with the way they went with Game of Thrones in the end, but there's no denying that they certainly proved the point, and that is you can do a lot with a show.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was happy towards the end there, but
it had to come to an end at some point, right?
Yeah, exactly. They got so much right, and you know, it was a paradigm shift. Like all the big go-tos now, I think are going to be TV. Like they've realised.
Yeah, I agree.
Big budget in a TV show.
It's also worth mentioning that
Hollywood finish.
That the producers of Game of Thrones know that it was all rushed in the last couple of series, and they actually admit to go like, oh, how do we get these people from A to B in this short term? You don't, but wrap it up. So yeah, it was a deliberate move. I just I felt in some ways that it was a slight betrayal to like the earlier series.
I think what really came to show with it is that they were operating ahead of the books.
Yes, and that was the big problem, wasn't it? That was the leading factor in there, is that the author spent so much time writing his books that they didn't have any material to work with. They had to make it up.
Yeah, I know they worked closely with him and everything.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they had a very good relationship with him, and he understands that the series will always be different from his material as well.
I remember that first series, the first season was so close to the books, though. I remember watching it thinking, oh my gosh, like it was so close.
That's good.
I think maybe after that they really started to...
They put a focus on various characters and things, didn't they, where they weren't normally. Like Arya and the Hound don't get so much page time as they do screen time.
Oh, you've got someone disputing you, look. Keslin saying it's going to be a trilogy of films.
Oh, is it? Interesting.
We're going to actually have to look something up.
Fantastic. Bring in the controversy. On this note, Kyle, I would like to also bring up it, because we're talking about like science fiction-y things and fantasy things, and obviously this all pays tribute to inspiration. And we spoke back in one of our earlier episodes, the inspiration, I suppose probably a lot of the motivation for me to paint Tyranids is that my favourite film is Aliens.
Yeah.
I also like Alien as well, and you've never seen it, and you need to explain yourself.
I think everybody has a couple of gaps in their film knowledge. That's just unexpected. I think if you went through all the classics, at some point someone goes, oh, do you know what, I've not seen that. Like, I hadn't seen Pulp Fiction for a long time.
I think you're despicable.
I have now. I caught myself up. It's just one of those ones. I will get round to it. I just never.
Because I've got some interesting news for people out there who may or may not be Aliens fans, but there is talk of a series being made. And we're going back to like humble stuff, so we're kind of avoiding the whole Prometheus factor.
I was gonna say, Prometheus was all a part of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think this is going back to potentially with the Marine Corps. I think very little has been said about it. I read an article about it. The Alien franchise has been kind of backwards and forwards lately because it was going to be picked up. Alien 5 was going to be done by the Neil Blomkamp studio, the guy who did Chappie and Elysium and District 9 and things like that. But there was a lot of problems with the studio and ownership and things. And there are videos out there on YouTube. If you're interested, go and have a look. It could keep you busy all night. Right. Kyle, we are a couple of minutes away from having a bit of a break. I'm going to stay. I think I might just stay here. I was going to go and grab a glass of wine because I like to have a bit of a drink in the second half. But I might just stay here and just carry on. How are you getting on with your stuff there?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I might try and find some better light just quickly to go have a look at this model. The other problem with it is it's made up of a lot of sort of chainmail style.
Right.
It's very different to the big broad plates of a Space Marine. So I don't know if it's going to really show me what I wanted to see from it. So I might have to sacrifice an Assault Marine as a practice model just to get a better idea. But I am going to do the first couple of steps on my Sanguinary Guard after the break, which is dry brushing grey and dry brushing white over them. So I'm ready to go with the gold once I'm happy with a scheme.
Go for another unadvertised chocolate. I know. Yeah, cool. I actually have some Space Marines and things on the side that are old models that I don't use. So if you want, I'm quite happy to send one down to you. But it's going to take a couple of days to get to you. So I'm quite happy to do that if you want one. We're a club.
Yeah, that'd be super handy. That'd be.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it's not going anywhere, it's not going to be used. It would be mega handy to have a tester.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Right, so let's have a 10-minute break. Let's get away from the workbench here. I'm not doing anything. I've got a chocolate in my mouth. It's all a bit gacky. No. It's Christmas. Here we are. I can see you on the webcam. Can you show us what you've done?
Me?
Yeah, go on.
I don't know if it's going to come up. So obviously this model is not meant to look good altogether. It is just a tester looking at some different.
Or move it a little bit to the side. There it is. There we are. It's a bit difficult, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see if the gold I've got, because I'm trying to do things grim dark and Sanguinary Guard are gold. I don't want them to be shiny. I don't want them to have that kind of look. I think it'd really stand out against the grim darky reds I've gone for. So I want almost brass going to black on the paint scheme with it. With that same idea, I've gone for my suppressors. That there's different like dry brushes, almost looking like they're being airbrushed.
Yeah.
With it. So yeah, gonna give that a try. And I think the blue I've done, I'm happy with. It stayed quite dark. And again, I think it will work on the Space Marine style helmet. That silly high elf, tall, pointy helmet, impractical thing.
Traffic going on ahead.
Oh, it does my head in. Who thought that for a helmet idea? Has never had to wear a helmet a day in their life, do anything. So yeah, I think that'll work on the Space Marine helmet. I'm quite happy to kind of just go for that. See what happens.
Sure, nice. Well, I tell you, I've got some suggestions that you might be interested in. Certainly some stuff for you to take for the takeaway. But first of all, we'll talk about that when we come back after our little break. We'll have 10 minutes now. So if you need to go stretch your legs, refocus your eyes, grab a drink, go to the bathroom, now is your time to go and do that. So we will see you in about 10 minutes. See you soon.
Nice.
And we're back from our break. I didn't actually go anywhere. I didn't do anything. I just kind of zoned out and listened to some music. Yeah, and just generally, I'm really struggling with this Nuln Oil wash, Kyle, I have to say. I'm kind of getting the effects roughly that I want, where I said I wanted some of the details to be kind of bordered. But it's just not playing ball with me. This black colour works very differently to the kind of lighter brown of the sepia, which I suppose I'm just more used to working with, maybe. I don't know. It's just not going where I want it to, so I think there's going to be a lot of cleaning and tidy up work later on. So I'm going to try and get as much of this as I can done, get him on a base so he's easier to handle, and then I'll do a lot of tidy up work and then varnish him, and I might just have to deal with the fact that it's not going to come out as my imagination wants it to. I'm not going to let it slide. I'm still going to try and make it as best as I can, but it's just not working for me. There's a lot of work to do yet. I thought I was getting there, but I'm not. However, in the break, Kyle, you found out some very interesting information. I would like you may have the honour of telling everybody that I'm right, but that they're right too. Yeah. We're all right, and this is really interesting. Go.
You're right with an asterisk. So the Dune film, it will be a 2-part film, but there will be a prequel TV show for it. So the TV show should come out first on HBO, I believe, and that should lead us into the Dune films. They're going to do, they've hinted at the great backstory that are in the books, and they're going to pick it up, and I'm going to absolutely butcher it. The Bene Gesserit, absolutely not how you say it, I'm sure. That's what it's going to focus on.
I'm not going to help you out because I don't know. I can't remember.
And I don't want to tell people what they do because I don't want to be accused of any sort of spoilers. But yeah, there you go. I like that idea so much.
It's fantastic. It's really nice. They're calling it a companion series. Has that been done before? Not like this, I don't think.
It's normally the other way. No, you normally just thinking about Firefly, where they got the film.
Firefly was a different story, though, wasn't it? Firefly was a series that everyone loved, and it got axed, and then the crew and the cast wanted to wrap things up. So it was a love story for them more than anything. Yeah. It was, we liked this, we felt that we had something removed, and we want to kind of finish the story for everybody. And then they continue to do that through Canon Comics as well. Kessler's put interesting with a face. Yeah, cool. So I'm right, but so are you, and that is excellent. Cool. Right, let me. I was going to take you over to the workbench, but of course I like to give this moment of the show to call outs and to community spotlight, etc. So I'm going to start with Kyle. I've sent you the photos already, so you can have a look through them because obviously there's a time delay. But the community spotlight this week is actually, and I want this to be the thing, but obviously things are slow going when you're starting a new show. Is that this is I think our first community spotlight where it's one of our viewers' works. Now you have to excuse the fact that the lighting isn't the best and the focus isn't wonderful, but you can still get a very good impression of what's going on. Not everyone has access to daylight bulbs or great lighting or even the skills to do great photography, but you can still get a really good idea, and I think that this is a really valuable spot here. And let me just bring you over. This is an armature or armager from Adrian Dean, one of our regular viewers, who, when I was talking with Adrian and getting these photos from him, I said that he may or may not be available for this evening, so I'm really happy to see that he is one of our live viewers and talking with us this evening. I don't know anything about the different houses, the different army types or whatever, anything to do with the knights and all their companions and things, but I can see the colour scheme there, and I like what you've done. You've put lots of effort into the actual model itself, and you've left the base as a blank slate, and you've written the name on the top, and you just don't see that. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It's always been written on the edge, and that to me is that minimalistic approach. Just says this is a neutral zone down here. It doesn't have to have foliage and rocks and things like that. Here's some information, and there are other games that have like information and things on the bases, but you've done that, and I think that's really, really cool. And I said, like last week or the week before, armagers I think are just brilliant. Sorry, Kai.
Well, because one of the things you can end up doing when you model your bases, it looks fantastic, but you then go and play on a tabletop that is not the same base as your models. And
It's exactly that.
About it, and
Like we're playing in a desert, but my space walls have got snow. What?
yeah,
Yeah.
they bring their own snow with them. wherever
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go.
This blank slate, this neutral background. What is it? Transparency. Yeah, it's really cool. And obviously he's got the name there, Athos. We'll go into that in a minute. I've got a couple of other photos of this dude here from like different angles. So we got one where he's looking to the right, which kind of shows you the. That's what I really like about him is the silhouette. I like the shape. I like the whole thing about these guys. The gun on the top, and the fact that they're kind of smaller Knight Titan thing. It looks like it means business, right? I think fantastic. I don't know what the weapons are on them. I have had very little to do with that. So I've never even fought against them. They've never even been on the same table as anything that I've played on. And here's one from the other side. Because sometimes what you need in life.
I have seen you play against knights, at least one of these smaller knights before, and I believe it was. I think it might have been yourself and Mark against myself and Dave.
Oh, was there one in that team?
I think there was.
Do you know, it was such a long time ago. I know the game you're talking about. That's where we just did a free-for-all, and it was I brought Tyranids, and our friend Mark brought was it Eldar, and then you brought your Blood Angels with the Adeptus Mechanicus, didn't you? And I remember fighting Call. Belisarius Call was just an epic unit to fight. Yeah. Like, he just took everything I had. I remember fighting the autonomous robots, and there was a whole unit of those, and I had to throw everything that I had into them. Well, I don't remember the Armiger. But if there is, if we did fight one...
Could be wrong. I might be getting confused with the robots.
If he was there, I apologise. I just don't remember. It was a while ago. What I like about this particular view that I'm looking at now, it shows you the other side of the weapons, because what you need sometimes is a chainsaw the size of a car. Like, ow, that's gonna really ruin your day. Chainsaw, yeah, brilliant, love it. And then we got one from the back there, just to show you that you got all the detail. And I like this. I've seen a lot of like Knight players and Tau players with all their battle suits where they just don't put that hundreds of hours into all the details, because you were finding this earlier on with your Blood Angels, Kyle, is that the details are there. You don't have to pick every single one out, right? Less is more. Let it blend off, right? And I like that, because all the colour and all the vibrancy is on the front. And then just as a little tribute there at the end is all three of them. And if you look carefully, you can see that you've got Amos, Aramis and Porthos, which is obviously the Three Musketeers. And I think that's Adrian, thank you ever so much for sending these in. I'm really glad that we've got some pictures from our regular viewers. It's nice to have that. And Adrian did say, oh, I'm really honoured to have them on the show. No, the honour is all mine. This is a community hub. This is for you as much as it is for me running a show. I'm having a blast. You're getting your stuff out there. And you don't have to have the best models in the world. If you think that your models don't look all that, you're like, oh, I don't want to show this off to everyone. Don't be frightened. Everyone starts somewhere. Show it off. Get some critique on it and learn how to improve, or just be proud of having a humble start. Duncan Rhodes is a very famous paint tutorial guy from Games Workshop who now has his own academy on YouTube. I recommend you go and watch it because it is really, really good. He has recently shown the very first model that he ever painted. My God, man, that guy has... He can tell you the story of his improvement arc. Seriously, go and watch it. Like Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy, and just type in the first model that I ever painted. So if you're worried about that, don't be. Share your models, share your pictures of what you're doing. We want to see it. This is a club. Let's get everyone involved and let's see the progress that we're all making together. So Adrian, thank you very much for sending in those photos. There are some photos of those, I do believe, on our Facebook page at Easy 8 Online Painting Club on Facebook. Please do go and have a look at everyone.
They're worth checking out, because the pictures do bleed out a little bit on the stream. The pictures I've got of them are crisper and sharper as well, and you can see that detail a lot better.
Those photos that he sent me are different from the ones on Facebook, but there's no reason why we can't upload more. So if you want some inspiration and you want to have a closer look at Adrian's really cool work, then we can do that. And obviously Adrian can help us out by taking more photos if you need to. There he is. No problem. Thanks very much. No, we really appreciate that, and I hope to, as we move on now, get more and more photos from the community that we have, our regular viewers. But that's not to say that if I'm talking to someone online and they're like, hey, put my stuff in there, then I'll do that as well. Cool. Because we don't always have...
as well, on the spotlight with Adrian, just fantastic. Always has that advice, and that's exactly what we want to promote here, is sharing ideas. He's always got, oh, this works really well, try this, give this a try, absolutely love it. I've taken some of those things on board. I'm already looking forward to showing you my flames that I've got.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you just said above it's like, no, just don't let the paint fully dry before you apply the next one.
Yeah.
Now you say it.
Oh yeah, wet blending makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Cool.
Wouldn't it be cool, like in 5 years' time, when this pandemic stuff's all behind us and whatever, that we then might be able to go to a show somewhere in the UK, maybe even abroad, who knows what the world's got lined up for us. But we actually go there with a collective of our community, we kind of go over there and represent, and we can actually display and show our models, maybe even play a game at a convention or something. In my head, I've got all these really grandiose ideas, and I don't think that they're far-fetched. I think it'll be brilliant that if this time next year that we've got 100 subscribers or more, that actually we might actually be able to meet up as a proper face-to-face club and actually present our models and actually have like a display table. Go, this is what I did on the episode 7, and this is what I did on episode 70, whatever it will be. I think that would be brilliant. So yeah, don't lose faith, or paint and just have fun, and yeah, don't worry about what it looks like, just because it's your thing, right?
Looking forward to obviously Crusade, keep hammering it home. We do have a lot of regular viewers, and just kicking off a Crusade tournament with some people, like one weekend, because it starts off at 25 PowerPoints, you're looking at 40 minutes a game. We just get big round robins, paint a narrative.
Well, this is what we're talking about, is doing a digital game, isn't it? As playing on the tabletop simulator, is that we would obviously represent the models that we've painted and going into the Crusade with the digital packs and whatever. There's a lot for us to learn. Obviously, we've got a lot of time. Kyle works very, very hard. I've got a life as well, and I've got other things I'm considering doing with this channel. So I don't know when it's going to happen. If it will happen, I really want it to, but it would be fun to play that Crusade. If we end up playing live games with models, then I can still show that as well, because I think that would be brilliant. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Crusade. I like this Taylor 4 Gamers idea. It's all brilliant. It's just singing songs to me, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
One of the things Jeff said about I just love the great base idea, and in my head it just sparked off an idea of having the old school kill stamps, planes, tanks. Like,
yeah.
And those things destroyed, making a little
mind blown. What a brilliant idea. Yeah, you could literally have, or even like banners and things. If we actually start playing a campaign, we could actually start doing kill cats, and that ties in as well to what we were talking about a couple of episodes ago with because we like to play the narrative game, we don't necessarily play the competitive lists, is that you often make that story up in your head. And I've always spoken about that guy, that single space marine that held off the Tau gun line, who just kept coming back and won me the game, and I've marked him out with a little piece of blue tack under his base because I wanted to know who he was, and I made a name for him. I can't remember what it was now, but by having markings on a banner or on the base or whatever adds to that story, and it makes the game and what you do with it a bit more visceral. Here is it. Don't be put off by looking at the pro painter stuff. Find your own style and work and improve with time and effort. That's coming from Jeff Lacey. Proud to say that's my dad. Hi Dad. He is also actually a pro guy. He has his own business, and this actually segues me in perfectly into the shout outs a little bit now, where I like to leave this little bit of time for shouting out to people who've got businesses, private businesses, big companies, whatever. This is a community hub. I'm not paid for advertising or anything yet. Maybe that will change in the future. This is all off my own back, and I just want to make sure that people are aware of what's out there for you, for tools and resources for you as a hobbyist. Jeff Lacey, my dad, owns Purple Line Creations. He is a company who basically makes bespoke models for your terrain on any theme, any historical thing. Stop me if I'm wrong, Dad, but I think he could do sci-fi, fantasy, any history thing, and he's got nearly 40 years, if not more than 40 years experience, and he's considered one of the best ones out there, and that's how I got into the hobby. He's working continuously around the clock, all around the calendar. I think even today he's been working here on Christmas Eve to tailor make bespoke models to specific designs made by customers, and he talks you all the way through the process. So if you want something a bit special for your board, maybe a centerpiece, or you want a whole village like the recent customer build, if you want to go over to his Facebook page, you can see that he is building literally St. Albans. It is amazing. I might bring some photos into the New Year's show so you can see it, but it's really good, and it's huge, and it's epic. Have a little look over there. Details for his website and for his Facebook page are in the description to this video and all other videos that we've done. And there's also Charlie Foxtrot. Charlie Foxtrot is a gentleman who I've met in the past and worked with a little bit. He does laser cut MDF terrain and buildings, etc. And the quality is just outstanding. If you've seen a lot of the other laser cut MDF stuff out there, it's all very good, but I just think that the quality of Charlie Foxtrot models is just steps and steps beyond, and I know that he spends a lot of time in those designs. He's got 2 massive machines and they're running all the time around the clock. He's actually now, for the Christmas period, shut down the shop now button on his website and his Facebook page because he just wants to get through Christmas with his family, and obviously he's got lots of back orders that he is getting through, but you'll be able to pick up those orders again with him in the new year. I'm actually going to potentially do another channel through Easy 8 on YouTube here, where I might actually start doing some terrain or buildings as a sideshow to what we're doing here in Painting Club, and I would certainly look to Charlie Foxtrot Models to do a piece. That would be really cool. So again, links to email, Facebook page and the website are all in the links to this description. I also want to make another shout out for the Hostile Galaxy, which is an online magazine based over in the States. My good friend Ruben, who basically helped me with the confidence to get this show up and running, and I was in his first ever episode. It's an online magazine. Again, links to the description for. There's actually a social group on there. There's the website. There's the Facebook page. Everything you need to go on there. If you want to buy the magazine, it's a really good resource. It's cracking and it's full of stories and works by people who are pros, by people who are just starting out, cosplayers. It goes into all the hobby sides and everything that's affiliated with it. It's a fantastic magazine. It's homemade between a bunch of guys who are all really into the hobby, and it's really professional looking. It's really affordable, but it's all online, so it's digital, so you don't have to get a paper copy. And I do believe, though I don't have a specific date for it right now, I do know that Ruben is working very much on the next issue, which is due out almost imminently. I just don't have a date for it when we kind of went live today. But it looks set to be a really good issue, so perhaps head over and have a little look. And that's Hostile Galaxy. Again, links are in the description. And then lastly, I'm going to try and make it not so much in the future that we have so many piled up, but there is Just Play UK, which is in the north of England, in Liverpool, which is a community centre where they supply games. It's basically a hobby superstore, they call it, but you can also drop in and play games with your friends, play Magic the Gathering, play war games, whatever you want to do. They're huge, and they supply products from a wide range of companies like Green Stuff World, etc. And I've recently been purchasing stuff from them, and I spoke to the guys on the phone, and they're just really, really nice, super friendly, and they've got the same sort of approach that Kyle and I have with the show here, is that they're just guys who are having fun doing what they do in the hobby kind of universe, and they've just got this wonderful shop, and you should definitely go and check them out. Again, links to all of that stuff is in the description of this video. That's Play Games UK. Go and have a look. So, Kyle, is there anything that you kind of wanted to bring about like shout-outs for companies and stuff that you know? I'm just off the top of your head. I mean, I've spoken to all of these people and whatever, but I didn't know if there was someone that you kind of knew or thought might be worth knowing about.
Honestly, no, because I'm so new, really, to this side of the hobby. So it's really interesting just listening, getting to take it in. I know we've talked about branching out in paints and brushes and just diversifying there. One of the things that's interesting is I've just moved into my first place. I've been very lucky that I've lived where I've worked for the last decade. I've absolutely loved that.
Yeah.
Now I've got my own place, and I'm really looking forward to being able to get a table together and actually having scenery. To be able to
having a little bit of space that you can do all your work in, and like you said, like just putting that time aside to just kind of chill out and zone in. Yeah, it really helps. Right, anyway, enough chatting. Let's move over to my workspace so you can see what I've got going on over here. Cool. So yeah, I've got the Bivor on his side. One of the things that's really stopping me from going to town on this little fella is the fact that I can't really touch him without pulling paint off of him. So I've got him kind of lying down where I want him to be, and then I'm just kind of moving the paint around on him. I've done another layer on the base. That's pretty much where I want it. I might put another layer on there. If you can see it, the colour of the grey is still showing through a little bit because it's a really thin paint. I've got a thick black upstairs, like a poster paint from an art shop. And that might do the job thicker, heavier, who knows. But yeah, I'm having a bit of a problem. I'm getting this paint, or this wash, shade, or whatever you want to call it, to go where I want it to, and to do what I expect it to do. And it's kind of pooling in really peculiar ways. But I'm just going to go with it, and then I can tidy it up later, perhaps. See what happens.
This might sound really silly, but it's nice to see that not everything is plain sailing, and that everyone still has a learning curve.
Yeah.
You go, this doesn't happen how I want it to.
I often have like a
and I'll have another go and I'll have a think about it.
Yeah.
Or come onto this channel and ask some people, maybe they've experienced a similar problem, or have a little technique, or so it's nice as someone who's a new painter to watch someone who, I like how you paint, I really enjoy your models, I think they're awesome.
Thank you.
To see you go, oh, this is not how I want to do it.
Yeah.
It's
what's important as well is to not get waylaid by that. Don't let that be the reason that you stop painting. Come back to it. Always think positively on it and try to enjoy the process. Enjoy the challenge. You go like, this isn't going what I wanted it to. A perfect example of that is Kesslin, one of our viewers online now. And I'm going to come back to what they were talking about in a bit as well. Is that recently on the Facebook page got in contact with me directly and was just like, I'm trying to get these colours, what do you think? It wasn't working. So we just shared some ideas and suggestions. And they actually sent me a couple of the Battlemech models here. Asked me to kind of have a little play around with colour schemes and things. I'm going to go more into that in a little bit. But this is that club atmosphere, isn't it? That community is share the ideas and ask people and be like, hey, I can't get this yellow to work, and it happens. But you should enjoy the challenge, right?
With yellow.
Yeah, I have actually had nothing but joy with the yellow. I really have. And a little while ago I found that the Games Workshop contrast colour was just everything that I wanted it to be, but I'd already done a very large portion of my army without that colour, so I didn't want it to, because it actually looked quite different. So I'm like, do you know what, I'm not going to use that, I'm going to carry on doing what I do. And I've got my little recipe now, and that's what you need, isn't it? You need the recipe. But yeah. I noticed we just got a comment going up there from Jeanette. Hi Jeanette, evening Dan and Kyle. Better late than never, but I've been drinking with my Daniel. I assume you have a Daniel, not me. But yeah, welcome to the show. Glad you can make it. It's nice to see that we're getting all these people coming. I'm really happy with it. It's really cool. Like I say, I couldn't be happier doing this show. It's giving me something really positive to kind of think about and focus on throughout the very bleak weeks that we've had. I've just put my finger in my paint. Okay, cool. Right.
Merry Christmas as well, Jeanette. Thank you for coming on. Yeah. It is lovely just to get to chat with people. I'm enjoying it as well. Like, this is the most I've ever painted, and it's barely anything. Most consistently I think I've ever painted, and look forward to painting. So it's definitely doing the trick, at least for me. So happy days.
So these are the models, these are the mechs. Kyle, you'll probably see these in about 15 seconds. These mechs here, we showed them off a couple of weeks ago. One of them is something that was kind of like smushed together from various other kits, which I think is this one here, the one on the left, and then there's the one on the right. And these are the ones that have been sent to me. I can do whatever I want to these, apparently, to kind of play around, do some test schemes. The other day I did my first product reveal or product review on Green Stuff World's paint remover. It's fabulous stuff, and I've got a jar of it here with the leftovers of my Red Terror in there. If you were to go watch the video and there were some sort of unanswered things at the end of that video, it's everything that I expected. I scrubbed them down. I actually found that dropping them straight into water made it much easier to clean them off afterwards, so that was like one of those questions at the end. There's just a few little bits and pieces in there because the metal's a bit tougher to clean than the plastic, because the plastic is beautiful. So I've just put them in there to soak all together. I'm actually missing one of the 6 claws, the little claw that the Red Terror has. So one of my jobs is to kind of go back and have a little look for that one, see if I can find it, and I'll strip him down. Once he's been done in there, these little mech bad boys are going in there. They're going to be stripped down, and then I'm going to prime them and repaint them. So Kesslin, if you're watching right now, oh there she is. Will be interesting to see what you come up with compared to my tests. It's going to be exactly the same colour schemes. I'm just going to play with different colours and different methods of doing it, and then I can show you what I did, tell you what I did, and then obviously you can make up your mind if those are appropriate for you.
We looked into this model range after that episode, after you first showed them off.
Oh really?
It was a game I'd never come across before. So
Battletech has a massive following. It's a little bit older now. Like the following is got a lot of like old time fans, and the game, I don't think it ever was discontinued. It just didn't really have much of what's the best way of explaining it? I just think rather than constantly creating, they just kind of left it, and then the people that enjoyed it stayed with it, and that's how it is. But recently, BattleTech has come into the realms of video games, and it's kind of breathed a fresh new load of breath. That is the worst sentence I've ever said, but you get the idea. It's kind of breathed some new life into it. And they've actually
like the original sentence.
Yeah, I don't know what I said. It was awful, but let's roll with it. But you're basically the original creators have actually re-released it, so it's nice to see that an old game is coming back into it. It's epic. It's very realistic in a fantasy sci-fi setting. Yeah, so yes, it's cool. And I've played the video games and stuff. I like it. I've played a couple of games of it in the past. It takes a long time, but it's really enjoyable. It's very immersive, and you get to like control all the damage or detail level for each of your mechs or whatever it is you've got going in there. And you can go in with as many as you want. You can have like 1 or 2 if you want to, and you can go in with like 10 or 12, and you have lancers, which are your teams. And as you get damaged, you have like a sheet for each of your mechs, and you have like a little paper doll picture, like silhouette of your mech, and little dots representing the armor. And obviously, the more armor you have, depending on the mech you have, the more dots you have, and the damage you take, so on and so forth. I've played several games and I've never lost one. That is luck, not skill. But yeah, it's a great game. It's very different from anything else that I've played, and that's what I like about it. And I would collect every game if I could, but there's just so much space you have to store stuff, and then there's the painting and the collecting, and
only so much money.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, there's so many games, and I just keep seeing more and more, and I instantly get hooked into anything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
especially nowadays where we need a little bit of escapism, right?
Exactly that.
And that's what a game is.
Is those smaller games, those sort of warbandy skirmish games.
Yeah.
Where you're not having to put together so many models. It is just, look, you need one box set pretty much to get you off on the go. You might get the odd special model every now and then, and to branch out into that. And again, there's some fantastic games out there like that.
A game that I really want to get into, or at least have a little look into, is Infinity, because they do some wonderful models, and the terrain is really kind of it's really like it's almost the expected future tones that I think that we might see in like 100 or so years. And I've been contemplating getting some models, but not until I've painted everything that I've got. And I want to do them up in that kind of retro synthwave kind of appeal. Yeah, I really like that.
What I've heard about the game, it's fantastically balanced in that the person that wins is the better player.
That's interesting.
Less about composition and meta.
Yeah.
That you often see in Warhammer 40k, and about tactics and strategy.
That's it's a common thing that you tend to find as a topic of discussion is balance in a war game, and then especially I'm going to say even in competitive lists, especially in competitive lists, but actually across the whole front of it, is often there's this discussion that just goes, oh, but these guys are unbalanced, these guys are more powerful, even for the level of points you get more for your buck out of this army and whatever. I can't think of any, and you might be able to put some limelight on this because you've got a degree in war studies, but I can't think of any war, historically or modern, where both sides have been even close to being the same. I mean, back in the medieval times, which is where most of my knowledge comes into it, is they were similar, but there was always one side that had that one thing that just went, and we win because of this. That always set them to that next level. That there's no army that I can ever think of that was ever balanced. So I like to represent that in
called the paradigm shift, and military history. It's a bit of a joke, we would call it, if we want to get into history jokes. In the world of military history, is that every 5 minutes there is a paradigm that changes warfare, whereas paradigms meant to be generation spanning. The internet is a paradigm of communications.
Yeah.
Telephone, think how far away they are. But in military history, it's every other year there's something that changes the shift of power. You can say, the longbow was one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of when I mentioned medieval.
Yeah, and then you go straight to the French were late on their shifted armor to their infantry, which was, and then you have the paradigm shift for that. So there's so many in military history. It is just a constant arms race. It is who can one up the other person. Where's this next thing coming from? But the big problem is we're not at war. It is meant to be a game. So then you have to bring in games rules. And things like that. But
who wants to play the side that is going to lose?
But that's why I think the cards that you got, I forgot the name of them.
For the Warhammer 40,000 is open war, isn't it?
Yeah, and I really like that because it went, if you're this much underpowered, you get this many cards to draw to benefit. And if you're under half power, well, you draw like a sudden death card, basically. If you do one thing, you win. Because
basically says, like, you got to destroy a vehicle or 3 units and you're done.
Yeah, it's like you were there to do one thing and one thing only, and that's why you're underpowered. And I was like, do you know what? That's really nice.
When I got those cards, I never ever played a single scenario from the original rulebook because those were always so entertaining. And you had the open war cards came with scenarios and battlefield layouts, and you just randomly picked them, which meant that every game you played was probably going to be different. And it was fantastic. Loved it.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I really liked it. It was a great idea. Absolutely brilliant idea.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, there we go.
I know the PowerPoints for Warhammer 40k, people aren't big fans of them because they're not perfectly balanced, but that's why I like them. Because it goes back to that point that
there were only a couple of issues that I found in playing those, and it's just that the PowerPoints allowed you to take whatever equipment you wanted to, and in 40k some of the equipment goes way out of there. So Terminators, for example, cost the same whether they're taking toothpicks or thunder hammers. If you've got a thunder hammer, it's pretty much a weapon of the gods, and it's an instant kill thing. They also come with shields that just make them it's so invulnerable. It's unbelievable. So I just always added on additional points if I was taking something that was a little bit gacky like that,
So my rule for that is you go back to WYSIWYG. Does that model have it?
Yeah.
Then it has it. I thought that was quite a good one. The only, I think, trouble there is your vehicle upgrades and things like that. But for me, it's an agreement at the start that we go, cool, vehicles all get one extra upgrade. You can have those chats and go, yeah, cool. The big one that is quite frustrating for me is the Death Company. They're a very high PowerPoint level unit because every single model can take an Inferno pistol, they can take power weapons, they can take thunder hammers, but I don't run them that way. But I'm getting charged, I almost feel like I'm getting charged the PowerPoints for them, so it's quite frustrating because I just run them with bolt pistols and chainsaws.
Yeah.
Which is the cheap as you can get. That is a little issue, but again, I just think a little bit of agreement, and I like the fact that it does unbalance it a bit. And like you were saying, when is it ever balanced?
When is it ever balanced? But like you're saying also, and it goes swings and roundabouts, player preference, maybe even just like I fancy to change the day, is what you're saying is that the Infinity game is very balanced. Sometimes you just want to play a game and you want it to be like chess. There is no other game that is more balanced than a game of chess, and it's all about the player. I suppose there's a whole discussion that you can open up about who gets first turn or whatever, but there are some players that won't play you unless you play the 5 opening set standard moves, so you might as well just set it up that way. But it's not a real battlefield. I am actually a pacifist in real life. I don't like violence. I would not be in the army, though I wanted to when I was a kid, but I didn't really know any better. But I still play war games. Why is that? Because it's a game, it's fun, it's competitive, and it's friendly, and it's just whatever. It's not real life. I'm not representing anything by playing sci-fi war games. It's a toy in a way. I play a game. I move my tanks around. I'm very visceral with it. I like to make noises. Pew pew pew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll make the noises.
Adrian's put in the chat there, I don't know, that Queen seems to be a bit OP. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I came up on Facebook the other day, didn't it? Like if people spoke about chess, if it was a new thing that just come out, like, oh my god, the Queen's overpowered. Yeah, you're right. Kessin's also said, anyone interested in Battletech, this is a great starter. The Battletech beginner box can get it on Amazon. So there you go. If you are interested and you want to have a little look, Battletech starter set. And I think recently the company, or at least a company, has been resculpting all their models because all the models are really, really old. It's one of the things I didn't like about them. not to talk about them negatively so, but one of the things I didn't really like was the fact that the sculpts were so old. There's just so many more modern things out there where you just think the quality's just so much better.
Cool.
Yeah, but now from the computer games, someone's done renders of them. So and I think they're actually an official thing. So you can buy these really cool looking models for your BattleTech games, and yeah, they look really awesome. I think I have one somewhere. I got the Ravens, one of my favourites. Yeah, cool. Before we get too far away from certain topics, something I wanted to bring up with you, Kyle. I was asked last week, and I spoke about it briefly at the end, and I don't want to not talk about it now, is brush choice. I want to bring this back up because I don't think I spoke about it enough last week, because it was kind of an add-on thing at the end of the week. I was asked by quite a few people between episodes 5 and 6, about what brushes I think are the best. So I thought it would be quite nice to get your input on this one as well, because I know that you are considering yourself starting back up again in the hobby, and I'm also looking at buying loads of new brushes and whatever. Well, where do you get your brushes from? What company? What do you use for what and whatever? Have you got any input on that?
I get all of mine from Citadel because I am still a Citadel noob, as it were. But for the level I'm at, I've not come across a single problem with them. They seem to keep their point well, don't get stray bristles, seem to be smooth with the paint. So yeah, I've had no problems with the Citadel brushes, other than the price.
Yeah, their brushes can be a bit expensive. Games Workshop stuff can be a bit pricey. But like I said last week, I've got a lot of Citadel brushes. I'm using one right now. This is the Artificer layer, and I use it as a bit of a detail brush. They are synthetic brushes, and they are more prone to bristle damage. They will get curly ends, you'll get like stray bristles kind of poking out. So they don't have the endurance that a sable brush or a natural fibre brush will have. I was using a sable brush earlier on. This is what I call my tank brush for doing large areas with. It's beautiful. I think it's made from squirrel. I think I've said this in one of my other episodes. I don't know how they acquire that, if it's good for the animal or not. I don't think it is. Apologies to any vegans out there, etc. This is called a squirrel mix one, and it just holds paint beautifully. It just works very well, and the quality of them lasts a lot. There's a lot of things that you don't want to put these in. I do believe Green Stuff World's paint remover says use synthetic brushes, probably because it's quite nasty to natural fibres. But each synthetics and natural fibres, they have their own different qualities, and it's just about finding one that works really well for you. A couple of brands that are out there if you want to go and have a look. If you're looking for some quality brushes that you want to look after, practice using something really decent, consider looking at Winsor Newton or Raphael Kalinsky. I've done a lot of research on them and various other brands for like quality brushes, and I can find very little between those two. Those are the top leading ones. I've decided to settle on Raphael Kalinsky, and in the new year I'll be purchasing a couple of brushes. They are expensive, but they are quality, and you want to learn about paintbrush care, which we've spoken about a little bit, and I've done a little bit. I'm going to be doing a little bit in some sort of product reviews, etc. But those are some brands for you to go and look at. Otherwise, if you're looking for some synthetic brushes, you can just go to the art shop, the pound shop, or whatever, the dollar store if you're in the States, or whatever the equivalent is, and just go and buy some really rubbish cheap ones for just slapping paint on, doing basing work, whatever you want to do. If you want to get just like a mule and just kind of slap some stuff on, then those are excellent. And some of the brushes I've got here do exactly that. So I've got this brush here. I use it for a lot for basing. I use it a lot for cleaning stuff up with the paint remover, and it's just a crappy piece of plastic with a little rubber thing on there, and I've had this for about 15 years, and all I've got is this tiny little bit of splaying at the end, and I'm happy with that. And there's things I can do with that. You can chop them down as well if you want to. Never get rid of your old brushes unless they're not a brush anymore. But there's also other brands and things out there as well. So I think Vallejo do their own brands. If you want to spend a little bit more money and you want to have a bit of a different range and go out and dive into the world of brushes, do something a bit different, Army Painter, a US company, they do some really good paint ranges and stains and things like that. They've got a lot of old school techniques and things. They do their own brushes, and you will see a lot of pros using Army Painter, but they are kind of like the mid-level, I suppose. I'd consider their stuff to be above Citadel or Games Workshop brands, but that's a personal opinion and no one else's at all. So there's a little bit about brush choice, etc. Yeah, if you buy new brushes and you have some thoughts about them, perhaps come along to one of our future shows and tell us a little bit about them, or drop into our Facebook page and have a conversation with us over there. It'd be really interesting to know. As soon as I get my Raphael Kalinsky brushes, I will perhaps do a product reveal with them and talk about them and just see where it goes. One of the things that people seem to, and I was exactly the same until I discovered otherwise, people think with detail brushes is that you want a really, really tiny brush to do really tiny details. Actually, what you want is quite a big brush with a really decent point to it. And the Kalinsky brushes that I'm looking at offer that. So the bristles in length or size are almost similar to this, but go down to a needle point, and you get a lot of control because you've got more bristles in there. It can hold a lot more paint, and it flows off the brush a lot more. But with expensive brushes, obviously you want to make sure that you're looking after them. Jeff has put, I kill at least one brush a day. Yeah, he does. I've got nothing else to say to that. That's true. I can see that our viewer count is going up as well as we are nearing the end of our show, but it's nice to know that we're getting some people coming in. If you are new to the show, it's just gone down, but if you are new to the show, this is your first time here, welcome, thanks for coming along. It's really nice to see some new faces. It's nice to know that we're getting people coming in, even if it's not for you, just say hi, whatever. It's not for everybody. This is just to provide you with a little bit of company while you get through your backlog. I did bring a pen and paper with me so that I could start writing down my backlog and make my stock take, but I don't think I'm going to have time to do that live.
We've got 8 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I just realised doing all the talking about community spotlight and all the call outs and whatever is one of the reasons why I want to kind of not do them all the time. Yeah, it takes up a lot of time.
That's the idea. We'll at least talk about it, is actually have a little plan going forward. I know the mountain of grey can sometimes seem a bit daunting, but it doesn't have to all get painted at once. Just sort of that priority, isn't it? Like a priority list. What do you want to get done next? Even is it what do you want to learn next? What do you want to practice on? Or what units need to be ready for whatever you've got coming up. So yeah.
Having a goal really helps. Like Kyle was saying about the campaign, for you, it's been your driving force, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And what's nice is it's quite a small target. It's 50 power points in a Space Marine list. That's not much at all. You need 25 power points to actually get on the table to play, because that's the size of the start. And you meant to have a list of 50. But I'm close to that already. Having the models at least. So yeah, it's nice. It's really helped motivate me and actually getting some painting.
Oh, well, I've spent a lot more time on this little model than I thought I would do tonight, but I think I often do that in this show. I often have a little bit more.
Learning curve.
Yeah. I always like to bring a lot along with me and have it planned so that during the show I don't go, and I'm done. Now I've got to go out there and go get some more models. And right before the show I was like, I haven't got these tanks. Oh, I haven't got this. I haven't got that. Yeah, nightmare. But you know, I'm having a lot of fun doing this. I'm enjoying putting my model together. And the reason I jumped to this little fella is because I had those spore mines from a couple of weeks ago. I've got 20 of them. I don't know if I'll ever use them all. I would like to. I think that because of that, I might just make a list that enforces it. But obviously, this little model can go along with them, and he can launch them, and that's kind of good as well. To have a few spore mine models is that if they're getting destroyed, it's their very nature. They're supposed to. Then you can just generate more, and then you can just kind of pile them on the table. It's quite nice to have. So that's why I wanted to do this guy next. I want to do a lictor. I've got an old 3rd edition metal lictor, and I quite like him. I don't like his face so much. He's got tentacles that kind of point out that way, but I like them to be hanging down, so I might sculpt a new head for him. But the new lictor model is really cool, so I might get rid of my metal lictor and buy a replacement plastic one and then do something with him. That'd be really cool. So if anybody wants my old metal lictor, yeah, let's open up a discussion. Do you want it? I'll give it to you. Whatever. Sure.
I was going to say, Danny, I don't suppose you've got any old Termagants or Hormagants, anything I can just basically brutalise to put on my bases.
Yeah, I have, actually.
I know your colour scheme, so I can get them painted up. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I've got a few bits and pieces left over. Yeah, and I've also got a couple of Gene Stealers. Because actually, from doing the show, the product review the other day with the Gene Stealers, this is how they came out in the end. So I'm really, really impressed with how clear and clean they came up. And I know that there are products out there that do this already. One of the someone was talking on the Hostile Galaxy forum a little while ago. I'll just use alcohol. And I'm like, I'm sure it does exactly the same job. What I like about this product is it's really tame as a chemical. I've got really delicate skin. It's one of those things that I've got, and I erupt and react to the colder air. I'm actually allergic to the cold. It sucks. And if I get chemicals on my skin, it just ruins me. But this stuff, I had my hands in it all night, and I'm not saying that you should or that or that yeah, I'm not endorsing that in the slightest. But the fact is, it was very delicate on me, and the smell it had. I wasn't doing it for long periods of time, and I was well ventilated in the room that I was doing it. But it's really mild and quite a pleasant smell, as well. A lot of chemicals out there are really, really harsh. So I definitely rate this stuff. I think it's brilliant, and hopefully it's going to last a while. I've got a little bit more left in the pot, and I actually put this through a coffee filter the other day to get rid of all the particles. It blocked that coffee filter up in seconds, and I had to puncture holes through it, but I got it really clean, and it's doing some really good work in it. And probably maybe the day after Boxing Day, maybe even later tonight. Probably not tonight. I've got some stuff to do tonight. It's Christmas, right? We're all busy, but I'm just going to clean the last of those up, and then I'll do him up. What I'm going to do next, I don't know. I've got 2 Carnifexes in boxes still on the sprues that were given to me as presents about 15 years ago. I've got a Carnifex down here that was made up from the box of 3 that I was given, and he's only half painted. Not even that, he has some yellow and some grey on him. I've got Tyrannofex that I use as a bit of a palette tester. Let me come away from the workbench, we're not looking at anything over here. I've got a box of Hormigaunt / Termagants that are still in the box on the sprues that was given to me by a friend last year for Christmas. So I'm going to do those up, probably turn them into Hormigants. They're my favourites. I've got 42 Gene Sealers to paint. I actually prefer the newer sculpts. I didn't realise the massive quality difference between the 2 sculpts. I prefer the new ones. I'm very up to if anybody wants to trade or buy them from me for competitive price. I will more than happily part ways with my 42 Gene Stealers, so that I can then have 42 new Gene Stealers. That's a discussion I'm willing to have with anybody. I've still got half a Hanomag from Bolt Action World War II to paint up. I've got another Hanomag on the sprue. I've still got a Panther in 28mm whitewash that I started whitewashing, haven't done. And I've got a 1/35th scale Panther model that is being made and is almost ready to start being sprayed. And that is just the stuff that I can remember that I've yet to paint. I've got a whole load of Space Marine stuff to do. I've got the new Redemptor Dreadnought. I think it's a Redemptor, the new Primaris Dreadnought, and I've got some Aggressors to paint. I've got Forge World Siege Dreadnought. So much stuff that needs to be painted, and I'm trying to power through without losing quality that I want to spend on them. So yeah, you might see the same model for 3 weeks on the show in a row. Who knows? What about you, Kyle? I know you've got your buying specifically for your crusade, but what are you looking at?
So I've got the paint that I've actually got. I've got 10 Death Company. Again, I don't see them being a particularly long project because they're primarily black with the detail.
Yeah.
I've got some Assault Marines I wouldn't mind doing up. I've got a Vindicator, the cursed Vindicator that's never made it past turn 1. A couple Rhinos to be made into Razorbacks to make paint up. But purchasing wise, I'd like to get some Outriders to be one of my next projects.
The bikes, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to get a Librarian Dreadnought, because that's going to be one of my first HQ choices for the Crusade. Because again, number one, I love the idea behind them. I think they look cool. It's just awesome.
Brilliant.
And with the Blood Angel psychic powers, it can fly. I got a flying Dreadnought.
We don't need that in our lives at all.
Especially, I don't know if you've seen the sizes for combat patrol boards. They're tiny.
It's 4x4, isn't it? I'm flying over here. Yeah. I've killed you. Flying over here, I win. Yeah. Okay.
I think they might even be smaller than 4x4. It's just, and they count as characters under the wound set, so you can't target them.
Nightmare.
Which is hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
Adrian's just dropped in one of our last comments for the show here. Just to start, I've got about 150 guardsmen stripped build to paint. Yeah, feel your pain, man.
dry brush job if I've ever heard of one.
Well, Kyle, this is the last time that we're going to be presenting the show this year. 2020 can do one. Let's put it behind us. Let's look to 2021 with some hope on the world in general and on our painting. I think our next show is actually going to be on New Year's Day because no one wants to be celebrating New Year's Eve in the painting club. So let's do it with a hangover. Why not? So I will be here next Friday, which is January the 1st. What an epic way to start the year. I'll be here on Friday, Friday the 1st, from 7 till 9. Kyle, I hope that you'll be with us. Are you going to be with us for that day?
I hope so too, I reckon I will.
Wonderful. It's been a terrific start to this show. I hope that it goes places. I hope it goes places quick, but I'm patient. So thank you, all of my viewers and the people who follow us on Facebook, because there are more of you on there, for everything that you've done to help me and Kyle make this show what it is, because I think that the ethos is just great. So enough from us doing what we do. Have a very Merry Christmas and have yourself a most excellent New Year. And I will see you straight away in the new year on episode 8. So for now, from me, it's a goodbye and a Merry Christmas.
And from me, Merry Christmas, everyone, and thank you guys for, it's been a great way to get back into the hobby. Thank you.
Fantastic. Anyway, see you soon. Goodbye. Get those armies painted, but probably leave it till after Christmas. See you around. Cheers now.